All right. So, what is up, everybody? Project Itachi here with Warners. If you checked out our video that we actually just uploaded yesterday, this is like a special live podcast that we want to do discussing the updates of Diablo 4 from the video, which received mixed reactions from the community because as we know, Diablo, they dropped that patch 1.10. It was not well received across the board. A lot of fans were disappointed. So to address the issue, the devs decided to have their campfire today. They did their live stream campfire to address the issues directly. And I will say that they definitely played it safe. They didn't solve all the problems, but they didn't ignore a lot of them either. They definitely landed themselves in the middle where you can't be upset, but you can't be overly happy. You kind of have to be cautiously optimistic, is the best way I can put it. It's definitely a band aid on a bigger problem, but it's a big band aid that they're putting on. And I want to lead off with what their mission, I guess you could say their mission statement was, or how they wanted to address justifying the nerfs. And I want to say the nerfs were planned apparently from jump. They pretty much said it themselves. And I will say I was right about when I said they're going to talk circles during that campfire, which they really did. It was a long campfire. And honestly, it could have been condensed into like 20, 30 minutes. It really didn't need to be as long as it was, in my personal opinion. But they were pretty much speaking circles while addressing problems with possible solutions. Some of those solutions did come out today. They did roll out a hot fix for the nightmare dungeons that, as far as I know, goes live tonight. I don't know the exact time it was supposed to go live, if it isn't already live, but the hot fix for nightmare dungeons comes out today. But one of the things that they said was, as their statement, a wide variety of viable builds to discover, put together, and optimize across all 5 classes, new items and powers every season to keep the game fresh and increase build variety, continually evolving endgame content with high monster density for powerful builds to mow down and activities to challenge your build, make the game more fun for players. That is their mission statement for Diablo 4, which, if you break it down, it sounds good. A wide variety of viable builds to discover. Basically, as in their words, they want everyone to play with all the different toys in the playground. They didn't want everyone getting used to one build killing all, and that's it. That's all they stick with, and that's what everyone's putting out, and that's what everyone's running through the content with. They want everyone to have diverse builds, and the way that they've worded it, it sounds like they want every build that people come up with to be viable for endgame content. It seemed like the way the game was operating, not every build was viable. If you weren't running a meta build, you weren't getting through endgame. And they say they want to address that. However, we are going to have to wait a little bit longer because it is not being fixed in this patch. It is going to be fixed in a patch that is due to come out in about, I want to say, probably 2 weeks. 1.11 is the upcoming patch that's supposed to be rolling out in the very near future. And they're going to have another campfire for it. So we're going to see how that goes. But so the hot fix isn't out yet. Okay, so they're putting it in the patch log notes, so the hot fix isn't out yet. But we will see how this works in the future. I don't know if Warner's over there is frozen, but hopefully he's able to come back if he is. New items and powers every season to keep the game fresh and increase build variety. This is good. I'm going to be honest. This is a good thing because a lot of players got to the end game content and they just weren't feeling rewarded, and now they wanted more. They wanted more, and this is understandable. So they're trying to make it so that there's more reason for players to continue playing, to push through that end game content, to do all the activities that they have planned, to bring their friends along. So I will give them kudos where they're deserved, that they're addressing this issue and they're saying, hey, we hear you loud and clear. You want more to do. We're going to bring you more to do. So that's great. And continually evolving endgame content with high monster density for powerful builds to mow down and activities to challenge your build. So once again, coming back to the builds, because that was the biggest thing. You nerfed a lot of players. They didn't feel powerful enough for the endgame content. They didn't feel powerful enough anymore for what they had designed it for. So they're trying to basically make it so all your builds are viable. Now, this is still work in progress. Like I said, this is supposed to come out in the next patch and over. They say probably the next 2 weeks. They're having that campfire next week. And then they said a few days after that. So it's probably less than 2 weeks that 1.11 rolls out. Now, the only thing that I kind of was like, well, this sucks if you knew you were going to do it. And I think, people are giving them a pass on it, is they already knew they were going to nerf people before we got the game.
That's something that I was trying to get across yesterday, but I don't think I was very good with my wording. You know how I am sometimes. I can't find the words and then I go on rants.
Yeah.
I stand by what I said about Microsoft. I don't care. All right. But the point is these gaming companies are more and more, they're instead of giving us a game that's ready and balanced, which by all means, like since the day of World of Warcraft and Diablo 1, when those games first came out, sure, there were patches and stuff, but nowhere near on the level that we're looking at today. We got complete games. Even as much as 8 to 10 years ago, we got completed games with occasional patches and stuff. What we get now is they say nothing. They give us a game that they say is complete, and then 3 or 4 weeks go by and then they drop a ball on us, change everything, and then they backpedal a little bit by saying, well, this was basically, this is what we planned, and this was kind of a test, and if you get our season pass, all that stuff that you liked or that made you XYZ in the game, well, you can just get the game pass now and get it. So it's this mentality in the gaming industry of microtransactions and these game passes. And I don't want to say pay to play necessarily, because to me, pay to play is kind of versus I guess in this case, to me, it's a little different. Like, yeah, but I kind of separate them a little bit, if that makes sense, like, to you.
Now, I will say, at least for now, it doesn't look like they're going in that direction. It seems and maybe that'll come down the pipeline later. The season pass is a thing. I think it's like $10 to get it started, $25 if you want to skip some tiers. It doesn't seem like their focus is there, but it is somewhere else that we did address yesterday, how we both said we think they're trying to stretch out the game by making it a little bit more grindy. It obviously was a big enough concern for them to actually say something about that. And they said, no, that is not their intention. They're not trying to make the game longer, which in my opinion, I felt like when you have to defend something like that on that level, it means it is a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. And the thing is this game wasn't in development or rushed. Like, it's a game that's been long over and that everyone's been waiting on. So don't give me that bullshit that you put a game out and you didn't mean to make some of the algorithms and the scaling that way. That wasn't your intent. Like, you knew damn well what you were doing. You knew that your plan was to drag the game out and get more people in when you started putting like that. That's what bothered me. Not the nerfing and the buffing. Like, that doesn't bother me as much, because that's part of games, especially RPG games. Like, that's to be expected, like the balancing. But on this level, this quickly, with that much just bullshit right to the customers' faces, like, get out of here. They knew what they were doing. And gaming, and we're letting these gaming industry, the entire gaming industry and all these gaming companies get away with this shit.
And that's why
I stopped playing Destiny because of this type of shit.
they were smart because they landed in the middle with how they address things. They were able to talk circles. I said, they're going to talk circles. It was at a level where your casual Diablo player, it's not really going to phase them. They're either going to play or they're not. Um, your hardcore end game content players are more of the ones that probably will understand the difference in changes. Most of the changes are affecting them, in that end game content. But where I took a little bit of issue and I was like, see, this is what I was talking about and this is directly from them, from their campfire. When making changes to increase build diversity, let some builds be overpowered until we have provided compelling alternatives. So they let these builds come out. Remember, we were talking about they were observing content creators and the builds that come out. So they were letting these overpowered builds come out. And this is my opinion. I want to say this is just my opinion. I think that served two purposes on why they let these builds come out. One is probably exactly what they were saying, to figure out how to balance the game. But I don't think that's as big as a percentage as they made it seem. I think they let the builds become overpowered as a audience draw, because what you can do in my opinion with marketing, basically free marketing, they use the content creators as free marketing. They know gamers are going to figure out broken builds. I said this yesterday. I said they're going to figure out broken builds. So they let them create those broken builds, and that's the draw. Because then those content creators advertise those builds to their audience, and then their audience becomes enticed, and then they come in, and I've fallen for it too. I'm not saying I've done this in other games. I see a build that just is amazing to me, and that's what drew me to the game. And then without fail, Activision Blizzard isn't the only one that does this. The game, after they've reached a certain milestone, I guess, that they don't disclose, they nerf those builds. I love Elden Ring. We love Elden Ring. Yeah. But I think they did it too, just in a not so obvious way.
It was less drastic.
Less drastic.
We could go down that rabbit hole because I have my complaints there too. But I love the game, but yeah. But theirs was more focused on PvP, but similar situation.
It's a similar vein, and I think that's what happened with Activision Blizzard. They let the builds be the draw to the game. It brought in new players. New players were building those builds, and then once they hit a threshold of probably a player base number, they were like, okay, cool, implement the nerf, because they've already admitted they knew they were going to nerf. It was just a matter of when.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're getting away with this shit, and instead of like the gaming community and saying stop that, like stop doing that, that's pretty shady. Mm-hmm. We're getting upset about all these other things. You know what I mean? Like we're focused on the wrong things, and they're going to keep exploiting gamers like this. It's not going to get any better.
Well, to kind of cement, your point right there, the very next sentence, once again, from themselves, these meta changes will occur at predictable times, like the start of a new season. When would you want to uptick your player base numbers? The start of a new season, when you're implementing new features, when you're implementing new mechanics. That's when you want your player base to come back and your numbers to increase. So they're going to let, towards the middle end of the season, builds become overpowered again. Players are going to return because they're going to, their favorite content creator, this build is broken. This build gets you through this dungeon, blah, 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 blah. Free promotion for them. The numbers uptick. They get those players in, and then they hit a nerf. And here's the thing. What you were saying about we let them get away with it, we can no longer complain about it. We literally can't, because now they've told us. So we can know this is why I said they were smart. They landed themselves in the middle. By addressing the issue head on, strategically, with a statement like this, we as gamers can no longer complain about the nerfs. They've eliminated the ability to complain about nerfs. With just simply those two lines, you can no longer complain about nerfs, because they're saying, hey, we told you. And they, in their campfire, they said, we're going to be more open in communication with our community. We're going to show these patch notes
only because of the backlash. Because you better believe if people weren't as pissed off, they would have just kept doing it. If no one said anything, they would have just kept doing it. They wouldn't have been telling us.
But the flip side of it is they're saying, okay, we'll give you what you want while still being able to do what we want. You give basically, it's kind of like I hate to refer to us, and I say us as gamers this way, but it's kind of like when you want your, when you want your kid to do something, you kind of entice them with a reward just enough, and then to and hope that they catch on to keep up that good behavior. But then when they start slacking, you take it away. It's like Activision's doing that right now. They've dangled the carrot.
Yeah.
They've given us just enough to appease at least their most loyal of player base, because it's their most loyal player base that is going to help increase their player base. So they brought in mechanics that they know will immediately appease them. They will they deliver on some of their promises? Yes, they kind of have to. How long will that last? That's what we have to see. The first season has already started off atrocious. The second season will probably be a peak pinnacle season. They'll deliver on probably all their promises. And then after that, once everyone's gotten into a rhythm and everything's been ironed out, then we'll start seeing, where Diablo 4 goes from there. Like I said, they landed in the middle. Pretty safe space to land. So
It's like, that's not even like the complaint here. Like,
no, yeah, I do
Blizzard,
like the game.
Blizzard puts out fun games with great lore that are enjoyable, but when they do shit like they did with Overwatch 2, and then basically give us the same game, because now they're not doing the story mode shit that they said that was the whole point. And then World of Warcraft has its own set of issues over the years with similar things. And then now this, like, you used to put out, it's just put a game out that's ready to go. That like there is no way it's not on purpose.
Yeah, but we just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what the future for Diablo 4 is, letting you guys know. If you guys want to watch the campfire for yourself, I think it's like 2 hours long. You can go to the official Diablo 4 channel. It should be available there. If you want to wait until after patch 1.11 drops, they're going to have another campfire next week, July 28th. So they're going to address the patch updates there and pretty much what their plan is for the game going forward. But yeah, we just wanted to highlight the current state of things to tie into what we were talking about yesterday, a little bit of our opinions on the matter, backed with some of the facts directly from the devs themselves. So whatever, what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to the patches? Are they game changing for you? Or are you going to sit out a few seasons and see what the future of Diablo looks like and eventually come back? We would love to hear from you. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take care of yourself and each other, and we'll catch all of you guys on the next podcast. Take it easy.